Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this mushroom in the cup illustration in the app IBIS Paint X. So this is the watercolor illustration. I'm going to show you how to make this step by step. So let's get started. So I'm just opening a 3:4 3K canvas, and here I don't need reference, so I just switched off. And now I'm just choosing the drawing paper a rough 3 background texture because this is going to be a watercolor illustration. So when it comes to watercolor, these drawing paper rough texture go along with it very well. I like this combo very well, so I'm just choosing this texture. So here I'm going to draw the basic shapes now using the pencil #1. So here you can see I'm just drawing the cup shape first using the mirror ruler. So when it comes to mirror ruler, I just can draw in one side and this is going to be reflected on the another side. So as you can see, I'm just drawing the basic cup shape. Since this illustration, or you can as it as a sketch, this sketch is not going to be visible at the final output or artwork. So if any make corrections or make multiple strokes, don't worry about this because it's not going to be visible on the final artwork. So feel free to make shapes, make corrections. You can edit whenever you want. So try out different shapes that you like and come out with the best. So now I draw the basic shape of the cup, and here I'm going to draw the mushroom. So here for the mushroom, I just saw this mushroom design a lot in Pinterest, so I wish to draw such a mushroom. So I don't know. In reality, I have not seen this kind of mushrooms. So this is completely different, but I like it. So I'm just choose to that mushroom style. And here you can see at the top, I just draw a basic mushroom design, and then at the middle, this is also kind of mushroom with the on the way of the stem. So I don't know whether it is available in reality. So I like it. So now using lasso selection, I selected the mushroom alone and I just copied and paste. When we paste, it's going to be appear on the new layers. So using the transform tool, I reduced its size and positioning it like this because I want to make multiple mushrooms with the single mushroom I have drawn. So just select using lasso selection, and you can copy paste, cut paste, whatever you can do here. And me just duplicating this. So I just copied and pasted that mushroom alone. And here you can see using special lasso eraser, I'm erasing the entire, there if there is an interface between the two lines, you can just erase it simply. Now I just duplicated this newly copied mushroom once again and positioning like this again. This is going to be on the new layer, so don't worry about messing up with the other designs because this is entirely happening on the new layer. It's not going to affect the other things. So I am positioning like this and I create okay. Then I'm going to erase the unwanted line intersections, and then I'm going to merge them together. So now my mushrooms are ready, and here I'm going to draw some rocks here and there using this laser eraser. I'm erasing it. I feel I can draw like this. Okay, now I'm going to add another rock here, and then I'm going to fill the empty space with leaves. Also, make sure you add the leaves without uh, messing up with the other mushrooms. Just draw like this as I told. You can see I'm just making sure I didn't add any lines within the mushroom. Okay, now I'm just making it a little bit bigger. The entire sketch is ready. Now I'm just reducing the opacity of the layer, and in a new layer I'm going to color it. So here our important watercolor um, techniques going to play the major role. So what I'm doing is using the lasso selection. I'm just selecting the cup area entirely without leaving any space, and make sure you make some smooth edges at the corner of the cup like this. Okay, now I just selected it. Now I'm going to use the beautiful watercolor edge brush. Why I call it a beautiful brush is because it's going to give us a beautiful texture. You can see how with varying colors the texture gives us something interesting about this texture. So I'm just adding multiple colors, and then I'm going to blend them with the watercolor water brush. So here you can see I didn't use any palette. So based on the colors that match according to my theory, I'm just choosing the colors. Now using the watercolor water brush, I'm going to blend them. If you have seen my watercolor videos already, you may know this. Otherwise, I'm telling you, if you are using watercolor, water, or any other blending brush, consider using the lighter color. Here, have used brown, orange, red, so many colors, but for blending, I used the yellow color. So always consider the lighter color that you have used for the blending. Then, if you want to add further darker shades or any lighter shade, whatever, without adding too much texture or without washing it out, then you can go for the watercolor bleed brush. So now I added the textures, and I'm using sputtering one, or I don't know exact pronunciation, sputtering or sputtering. So I'm using this brush to add that uh, you know watercolor drops like texture here and there. This gives us some beautiful textures in story for this cup. I'm adding these protecting breasts, with even multiple colors like brown at the corners and reddish, orangish colors at this left side, and at the center where there is a lighter shade, I'm using the yellow color. So now to add some highlights, either you can go for the lasso fill tool, and or using the white color you can draw like this, and then blend it with watercolor water brush like I'm doing now. Other than that, you can straight away go to the airbrush on a triangle or normal brush. Here I'm using the airbrush triangle brush to add such a glossy highlight details. So for this illustration, I'm going to use this airbrush. You can also try out lasso fill tool as I told before. So now I'm going to select again. I'm going to add a little bit of texture. Then I feel it's okay. And here I'm going to choose these two areas now. So the main thing about this technique is make sure you don't select the continuous areas. So if I choose a cup, bottom cup detail, and then immediately the next area at the same time, it's going to mess up. We will not get the perfect edge details, dark edge, light edge, whatever it may be. So always consider using some alternative areas for during the coloring process at once. You can either do it one by one, like the cup shape first, then a cup edge, then you can go for the cup handle, then mushroom, and then another mushroom like that. If you are considering about the time, you are more concerned about the time, then you can choose the alternative method like I'm doing. Just first do any two areas which are not nearby or next to each other. Like you can choose this cup and on mushroom top area, otherwise something like that, or this cup, then leaf area, because there is some gap between these two, that cup edge. So something like that you have to choose and do for the best result. So now here you can see I just done with the cup edge, and here I'm doing the same um, technique. Like first I will use watercolor edge brush to add the texture with dark shades as well as the light shades. Then using the watercolor water brush I will blend to add a little more color to that shade, of that shade. Then you can go for the watercolor bleed brush and add a little bit. Then using the add brush, triangle white color, I just created that highlight details. Now I'm going to select this stem part of the mushrooms. Here you can see these, there is no common areas, or any there is no merging between these two selection areas. So you have to choose something like that, and using the watercolor edge brush I'm going to add the colors. First brown color at the top and red or orange color at the bottom. Now using this sputtering one brush I'm adding these details here and there. And also I forgot to add that details for the cup edge as well as for the cup handle. So uh, I made a mistake, and now I'm just selecting that place again, and then I'm going to add that details. You have to use the area and then use the details all at once, then you can go for the next one. Here I done a mistake, so I'm doing once again. So now I'm using the I'm just selecting the mushroom top, and you can see there is no merging between these mushrooms, so no worry about that. I chose all the mushroom tops, and here you can see, so I just chose only one of that two set of lower mushrooms, since it gonna merge and do at a separate thing. First I'm using the one mushroom details and then go for the next. So here the mushroom is going to be like a beige color. So darker shade of I know the darker shade of beige, and then lighter shade of it, and also you can add a little bit of aqua green color if you want. So now using the watercolor water brush I'm blending and making it rock, watery. Then using the watercolor bleed brush I'm adding the shade a little more. So when it comes to these coloring details, it's up to you whether you want to make it a lighter one or a darker one. So you can make choice. Don't need to follow same my method. You can try different, like you can try only watercolor bleed brush or watercolor real something, anything in it another than the brush that I'm using. But my favorites are these watercolor edge brush, watercolor bleed, and watercolor water. In most of my tutorial, I have been using that brushes for the illustration. So it's about, like, I'm not um, going to confuse my viewers by using a separate brush for each one and getting confused, because most of my viewers are beginners, because no, they want to get steady at one thing first, and then they will improve by their own. So for the basic, I'm using this brush more often. So you can see for adding some line details, I use the lasso fill tool, and then using the watercolor water brush, I blended it little bit. Then using the watercolor bleed brush, I'm adding some more shades like this. So now I'm going to select other areas of the mushroom. Now I selected this to avoid wastage of time. I just skipped that part in just selected the areas without recording. And here comes the lower part of the or you can call it inner part of the mushroom. So here also I'm going to add the line details. For the center of the mushroom, I'm just adding little bit of reddish shade. I want the center of the the mushroom to be a little bit lighter, and then the corners to be a little bit darker. So I'm coloring this in that way. And using the lasso fill tool, I'm filling like this. So when it comes to making such a strokes, you can better go for the laser fill tool than any brushes that you are using, whatever it may be. A self dip pen brush, dip pen hard, whatever it's not going to be fine result that of the laser fill tool. So always consider making use of this tool, possible. Okay, now I'm using this glittering brush to add the texture at the bottom. Okay, without this sketch, it look like this. Looks perfect. Now I'm going to select the rock areas selected, and now I'm going to use the watercolor edge brush and almost like a black or gray color and fill it. Now it's ready. Now I'm going to select the leaf. So I'm using green color, dark green at the bottom of the leaf and lighter shade of green as well as the yellow for the top of the leaves. Then using the watercolor water brush, blend them well. Now using the lasso fill tool, I'm adding the nerve details for the leaves. At this, okay, now it's ready. Using the watercolor bleed brush, I'm blending a little bit like this to make it look a little bit real. Then using the watercolor water brush to blend it well. Okay, in the same way, I just filled all the leaves. Also, I'm going to fill the remaining leaf areas. Okay, now everything is ready. So if I switch off the sketch, it will look like this. And now I am going to fill the background with this color. Make sure you use the current layer option in the bucket tool and fill it. Now, if you want to add some highlight, shiny details, glowy details for this, but usually we don't use for the watercolor. But still, if you are a glow lover like me, you can try this. Create a new clipping layer with add blending mode for this watercolor layer, and then using the airbrush triangle and just adding some shades. I'm using some light yellowish bit color. Add a little bit of highlight here and there. Also the stain, also the rocks, then as well as on the cup. Okay, now it's ready. Now I'm going to save this as PNG, and this is the final look. I hope you learned something new from this tutorial. Also, if you like my video, then subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.